character?
Well, Taliesin, I don't think I could have done that part without Taliesin. Like, Taliesin pretty much taught me how to act as myself, like, comfortably. Like, he really was so amazing in that. And I mean, I worked with Bevins on some of it, but I was primarily with Taliesin most of the time. And he was just so patient. Honestly, if it wasn't for his patience, I don't think I could have done it. Like, it's because of Taliesin that I was able to do that part. I don't think there's any other reason. Like, it was totally Taliesin.
Alright, you talked earlier, now you're venturing into doing more on-camera stuff. What are you finding different about being on camera? Do you find that you have more freedom? Because you talked just a little while ago about the booth and about wanting to move and to stand and all this energy that you have. Are you finding that it's limited because you can only be you when you're on camera?
Well, as far as parts that I can play, I'm very, very much more limited on camera than I am with voice acting. And with voice acting, I played a lot of like little boys and alien frogs and like, you know, talking reindeers. So I could never do that on camera. But it's a little more free as far as like being able to move around and stuff. But even still, you have to hit your mark and you have to stay there. And especially if it's a close-up, like I got yelled at a lot for like moving my eyebrows. Like I can't. If it's a real, like, right here shot, you know, it's like, don't move your eyebrows, don't express. Because any little twitch or anything that's in your face is, like, huge, like, totally magnified. And as you can tell, I'm very animated, so it is kind of limiting in that, like, I can't be as animated as I am in real life. Like, I have to tone it down a lot. And especially, I mean, voicing anime so much kind of has made me even more animated, so it's just kind of like, oh, okay, so don't move my eyebrows, okay, put my shoulder down, okay, like that, no, okay, and then like that, you want me to stand like this, okay. It's kind of awkward, but it's really fun because it's like a totally different animal, and I actually get to read with people. That's the strangest part. That was actually really hard for me when I first started getting back into it, was reading with other people, because I'm so used to just reading with another voice and then, you know, the image on the screen and that's it. But actually interacting and making that connection is something that I've been having to work on a lot.
Sorry, anybody else before I go?
Get him, killer.
Alright. Okay. I was just wondering, we've had other voice actors in here, and they've talked about adopting some of the characteristics of the characters that they portray. Like, for example, some of them will start to do sighs like their characters, or kind of start to do things that they see their characters do. Anything that wasn't a part of your makeup until you did a character?
I feel like it depends on like if I'm doing the character a lot that week or something. Like when we first started with One Piece, I was voicing Chopper like every single day for like 3 weeks. And so my voice just naturally started getting higher and higher and higher. And especially if I would go to a bar or something and I was trying to raise my voice, I was just like, hey, so what do you want to drink, guys? Like, I was seriously, like, it would go that high. And just not me trying, like, it would just naturally do that. And my brother always likes to point out that whenever I'm getting, like, pouty or whiny, I always end up sounding like Tamama, which I think is a total lie. But, okay, yeah, he's right. I totally sound like Tamama whenever I'm whiny now. And whenever I say yay, I sound a lot like Tamama, too. Like, yay! But I probably, honestly, overall, because when I first started doing anime, I was always doing like more of the chill, quiet characters like Eve and Black Cat and Elsa and Gunslinger Girl, and kind of the darker characters. So I feel like since I've kind of gotten more into characters like Chopper and Tamama and more energetic characters, I myself have also become more energetic.
Did you know? Oh. Did you know anything about One Piece before you got the role of Chopper?
I had actually seen One Piece on TV before. I had seen like a couple episodes of the 4Kids version, like a long time ago. Like I never really thought about it. And I didn't remember that much about it. But yeah, I had totally seen it before. Like I did know what it was.
What do you think of the transforming reindeer when you got that part?
I thought it was hilarious because he still sounds like this when he's transformed into this giant thing. I was like, is that supposed to happen? And they're like, yes, you're supposed to still sound adorable.
Like Mike Tyson.
Yeah. Right.
Except,
yeah.
oh, you're biting.
Yeah.
When you're recording, do you ever find that you get sucked into the story, or do you find that you're more just like going for your lines and then?
Oh no, dude, I'll totally get sucked into the story. Especially Romeo and Juliet was when that happened the most. Which I'm sure you guys have no idea, but the end of Romeo and Juliet is really sad. So you've never heard it. And I was actually, and Juliet was the first, and so far only character that I've ever, it was kind of an experiment. I employed one specific acting technique throughout the whole thing. I did Michael Chekhov, and I never do that. Usually I do like kind of a mixture, but for some reason I just wanted to try it, like just doing only Michael Chekhov, and it worked too well on the end, like to the point where I couldn't control my voice because I was sobbing so much. Like it was too painful. Like I actually had to like step out of it and like kind of regain my composure so that I could actually take direction and, you know, do what they were asking me to do, because I was just sobbing. I mean, I could hardly even say anything. So, yeah, I'll get sucked in. You had a question.
Yes, I was wondering if you think the previous experience with anime is helpful when you go into voice acting, or do you think it sometimes can get in the way?
I think for me, because I did watch it before, but I wasn't like really hardcore into it. For me, it was helpful because I kind of knew the archetypes that are in anime. So when I saw like sides and stuff, I'd be like, oh, okay, so she's probably like the quiet, shy voice character. You know, it's probably the more rambunctious one. But I do know that it can be sort of a bad thing, like when fans will come in and audition because they'll know the show that they're auditioning for too well, and they have an idea of how they want it to go, and that might not be what the director wants. So a lot of times you won't get cast because of that. Like if you can't take direction, even if you know the show, you have to do it how the director wants it, you know what I mean? So for me, I think it was helpful, but I can see how it could be harmful for other people.
You're actually the first voice actor who's ever mentioned acting techniques, specifically Chekhov.
Oh, really?
Most people talk about their vocal techniques. Mm-hmm. Did you discover Chekhov and your acting techniques before you got into voice acting, or is that something you picked up while you were?
I had taken some Chekhov workshops right before I started working at Funimation, but I hadn't done it in a really long time by the time I was doing Juliet, but right when I got cast as Juliet, I started taking another Chekhov workshop at the same time, which is why I decided, like, hey, you know, I think I want to try, like, just see how this works out, like, employing just this technique. But, yeah, I mean, like, I take a lot more acting classes now that I'm trying to get back into film, like taking a lot of film stuff, but I didn't do a lot in school because I was studying music and not theater. But I tried to take as much as I had time to, and I did a lot of plays and stuff in college. But yeah, I think Chekhov is the only like school of acting or whatever that I've ever really taken. And any other acting class that I've taken, it's just been like film acting. Yeah, but no, I've read Stanislavski, but I've never taken a Stanislavski class. But I've taken a lot of classes that do employ that method, but it's not necessarily like just specifically that, you know what I mean? But yeah, so I've read Stanislavski and I've taken Chekhov workshops, but then every other workshop I've taken other than that has just been film acting.
So in the voice acting community, do people study acting technique?
Yeah, oh, absolutely. There are a lot of people who got their degree in theater and know way more about it than I do. Like, I know Colleen Klinkenberg got her bachelor's degree in theater, Jamie Markey got her bachelor's degree in theater, Lucy Christian has her master's in theater. I mean, she like studied Shakespeare in the Royal Shakespeare Company. Like, I mean, she's like hardcore. Monica Rial was a Shakespearean actress. Like, that's all that she did before she got into voice acting. And she knows a ridiculous amount of Shakespeare. Yeah, no, there's a lot of us that study acting, and the vocal technique is very important as well, but especially for anime and for video games as well. Like, it's more than just voice acting, you know what I mean? It's also the acting part of it is more important, whereas I feel like in commercial the voice is the more important part than the acting, but in anime especially the acting is more important.
So you mentioned, again, building off that Chekhov thing, what kind of preparation do you tend to do for a role?
Well, since I did the Chekhov thing, I still do a little bit of Chekhov in all my characters now. And the biggest thing with Chekhov is like finding your center and what it's made out of and all that kind of stuff. So for every character that I've had since then, they all have a different center. So that's kind of what I do. And then from there, I'm a little bit more malleable as far as like how the director wants it, and I'll do different stuff to try and get to that place. But I guess that's the only real like super technique thing that I do still is like the center.
Alright, any other questions?
Somebody else?
That's it. We can
Crickets.
take it
All right,
back.
here.
We can call it.
Did you have one? You look excited.
If no one else, I don't want to monopolize.
That's all right.
That's fine.
Grab hold one.
Go for it.
Okay.
Go for the goal.
Okay. I was just wondering, when you were talking about your preparation, what you know, as far as you say, how do I phrase this? When you're not employing a method, do you have your own technique that you kind of work towards? Do you have your own? Because some actors talk about creating their own thing. They don't follow the method. They just kind of create their own way of finding the character. And if you have that, could you explain it?
Honestly, it's a different journey, like with every character. Like that's the one thing I do that is like a specific, you know, style of like finding the center, and then from there, like each character just sort of finds me. Like I don't know. I try. I guess that's also kind of Chekhov.